Hi, I'm going to quickly show you how to use VLOOKUP in Excel. What VLOOKUP does is it merges data from one source to a different source. So in this example, I have some fake survey data here. We have the person's ID here in column A and then a rating of 1 to 5 in column B. Now I have um, their gender and income in a different spreadsheet. And what we want to do is merge gender and income into this spreadsheet here. Let's say, for instance, because we want to look at average ratings for male versus female, and then low, medium, or high income. So what we have to do is get these two columns, gender and income, over into this sheet here. Now, this is a very simple example. In an example like this, of course, you could just sort the IDs. There's 25 IDs in both spreadsheets, so you could just sort and then copy and paste. But real world data, it's much more complicated. It's not the exact number of IDs you're matching. There's a whole host of problems and complications to where a simple copy and paste just wouldn't work. But just to make this simple, we're going to use this very basic example here. So what you want to do, I usually will just type in the names of the variables we're going to import first. And then the actual function is you just type in equals, then VLOOKUP. And you want to first select the unique identifier. So in this case, it's an ID number. And you just reference that and then type in comma. And then you want to reference the table. And so I'm just going to select the table with the data that we want to merge in, like so. Very important to keep the identifying variable on the far left-hand side. So that's one mistake that I see a lot of people make, is that when they go and select the data source here, they don't put the identifier in the far left-hand column. So that's very important. It doesn't have to be the far left-hand column in the data, but in the selection here, it needs to be the left-hand column. Okay, and then let's go back to our sheet here. Oh, sorry, made a little mistake there. Okay, so we're referencing, first of all, the ID for each row, then the table reference where we're pulling the data in from, and then we want to reference the column number of the variable that we want to import. In this case, it's the second column in the data selection. That was the gender column, and then we type in false. This last thing, true, false, it's to tell Excel whether to look for exact matches or approximate matches. If you type in false, it looks for exact matches. I always use that. I haven't found very many good reasons to just use approximate matching, but you might find that. So, but as a general rule, I always just type in false there. So you can hit that, and you can see that ID 1, it's a male, and indeed it is. And you just want to replicate the same thing with income, except first reference the ID variable, then the data set with the ID column on the far left-hand side. In this case, instead of 2, we want to type in 3 because we're importing the third column. And then once again, false at the end. And there it is. Then at that point, you can just highlight, drag down, it'll apply, all there. But there's one little mistake there that a lot of people do make. I just made on purpose. And that is, you do not fix the table selection. So you can see here in this first row where I entered VLOOKUP, I was referencing sheet 2, A1 through C26. You can see here, A1 to C26, that's the data set that we're importing. If you move down a cell, you can see it's now referencing A2, C27, A3, C28, so on and so forth. So it's adjusting that data reference as we go down the list, which we don't want to do. So in order to fix that, you can actually, in a Mac, it's Command T. It puts these little dollar signs next to it, and that tells Excel to not adjust that reference. You do want to keep this one as a floating one. You don't want to fix the ID, but you do want to fix the table reference there. We'll do that for both columns. And Command T in Mac, and it's F4 in Windows. Those are some shortcuts there. And we'll highlight again, click and drag down, and there we go. We're all set. So you can see as we move down the list, this reference is not changing. So I hope that was helpful. You can visit dataanalysistools.net for more useful tips. Thank you.